What's going on? All right, maybe I can get a few of you filtering in here before I get started. Let's see. I'm going to do a Q&A real quick. All right. Let's move that down. Well, it won't let me move it down. Okay. Hey, girl. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. I know that sometimes I do impromptu. It's going to be like that for me, being that I work so often. It's going to be one of those things that sometimes I can pop in and sometimes I can't, right? Okay, before I get started, you know what? I don't even know if this chat is rewindable. Like, it might be. So just for the sake of it, I'm gonna just introduce myself. I'm Paige. I'm a base Southern mom. I'm a base Southern mama from the South. I'm a mamma jamma. I'm somebody who likes exposing these people who God has called me to do. God has called me to do this, y'all. And if you just my brain is not firing on all cylinders tonight. I'll just have to tell you that. I'm running on like 2 hours of sleep. I'm sorry. Anyway, let's see. If you trust any of these people, if you idolize any of these people, you're not going to like what I have to say, all right? Not going to like it. Not going to like it. Now, I cover a lot of trending news, controversial news, sometimes political stuff, but I also do relationship slash marriage and dating content. And also, talk about some of these new age hippy dippy therapists and TikTok life coaches and people like that, that are goofy. They're goofy, right? All right. First of all, we're going to start off with Candace went on Piers today, and I wasn't even expecting it. I don't know if any of us were expecting it. I didn't even know she was supposed to go on there. I hadn't heard anything about it. So let me pull up my timestamps here and we'll get started. I'll go ahead and play because I have a lot to say about this. A lot to say about this. Her demeanor has changed. Her demeanor has most assuredly changed. It's changed. Look, I've got 17 people in here. All right, let's go.
It's fair to say your fame continues to rise, infamy, some would put it, but you're always a welcome guest on Uncensored. Let's get to this extraordinary meeting that you had with Erica Kirk. It came right after we saw her say in that CBS town hall, you should stop with the conspiracy theories. So who approached who about you guys actually getting together?
I was approached by Turning Point after Blake Neff, who works on Charlie's show, sort of fumbled this invite. I almost say it was a fake invite publicly. And then in the middle of the night, said, oh, Candace is not able to be here tomorrow. And they never messaged me. And I think there was quite a bit of public backlash with how they went about it. It just was just not the way that we try to set meetings. And so what happened after was they reached out to me, said Erica would agree to do a live stream, just the two of us. And then after Erica's PR blitz, they reached out again and said that they felt that it was better for us to meet one-on-one as opposed to us sitting down having Megyn Kelly moderate, which was the idea originally.
Right. And so where did you have...
So my question is, why wasn't it done publicly? Because, Candace goes on to say that she talked to a lawyer over the phone, at least Erica's lawyer over the phone, I guess. At least that's what I'm assuming, right? So what was I don't understand. I think a lot of us are confused as to why this wasn't public, and we just have to take their word for it.
Your summit meeting?
At a hotel here in Nashville.
And a lot of your supporters, fans of your show, think that you may have been lured into a trap. Did anything while you were there make you think you were being lured into a trap?
I don't know that a lot of my fans think that I was being lured into a trap. I think ahead of time they had some concerns, obviously, because I think in general, after you see a public assassination and you start tracking so many lies that are happening, there's going to be an understandable amount of angst that people feel. And I certainly felt the angst as well. I've obviously been very clear that I am suspicious of some of the characters that are at Turning Point USA. So I totally understand why the public was concerned.
When you saw Erica, she was obviously angry about you in that CBS town hall. What was her demeanor like when you met her?
Well, I don't think that she thought she was angry in that. I think maybe that was the characterization from the public. I certainly thought she was angry as well. And she sort of clarified that she was a bit annoyed by the questioning, the way in which Barry had set up the question with the podcaster Candace Owens, which I think was definitely being driven more by Barry Weiss's feelings towards me, long-running feelings towards me, than it was perhaps for the benefit of CBS and trying to pretend to be an impartial journalist. So I think she was frustrated by the line of questioning, is what she explained to me.
Yeah, I don't buy that. I don't buy that. Is anybody buying that? We all saw it. We all saw how she acted during the interview. She was acting like, oh, well, she was trying to be all intimidating, right? All right, let me skip forward to, let's go to 1354. Hang on. We'll get it because there's certain things I want to cover. I've already seen this. I know a lot of you have already seen it. And look, if you watch Barron or you watch Valhalla VFT, you're probably going to like me. But I have a very different perspective of Candace that they do. Okay? Just so you're aware. I think all of these people are playing their roles. That's what I believe. All right.
But they, whether mistake or not, the public was lied to. So this obviously, matters deeply to me, and it's just absurd that people would think that I'm doing this for clicks. I knew Charlie. Charlie and I are very close, and it has been one of the most disgusting things ever that people.
Good for you, Julie.
Almost tried to start this psychological operation that Charlie and I hadn't spoken since 2019. They've lied about virtually everything that I've said on my podcast. I'm not gonna let this go. Okay, I can't. We don't live in a country that is the embodiment of democratic principles. If Charlie Kirk gets publicly executed and the media apparatus is doing everything they can to cover the tracks, I would say to cover the tracks by demanding that there is no further inquiry into what happened on that day. That is not a country that I get behind.
Let's get to some of the details, because it seems to me you've put up a lot of theories, but a lot of them don't seem to have a clear conclusion from you about what you actually think happened. I mean, you've been all over this now ever since Charlie was killed. What do you believe happened to him? Who do you think killed him?
So I can't tell you definitively who pulled the trigger. I'm not going to lie to audiences and just put something out there that's not real. But what I can say is I feel convinced that the feds were involved. I can tell you that. I think the feds were involved in staging a cover-up. I think Kash Patel knows what happened and did not happen on that day.
Maybe I've missed it. She says something here that kind of threw me off guard. It threw me off. Hang on.
I've agreed to. They said that these were mistakes, but they, whether mistake or not, the public was lied to. So this obviously, matters deeply to me, and it's just absurd that people would think that I'm doing this for clicks. I knew Charlie. Charlie and I are very.
Did you hear what she just said? Now, a lot of people might not think a lot about this, okay? You might not think that this is a big deal, but this was a big deal to me, okay? Here's the thing. I've learned a lot from watching hundreds of interviews, interrogations, body language videos, with some speech recognition sprinkled in, okay? Always pay careful attention to the words that people are using. It's a slip up, and she did not mean to say this. Listen.
Over him, almost as though he was a Fed operative, like he was working on behalf of them. And, we've caught the feds have lied a lot. It's just a fact. Turning Point USA people.
Hang on, she's about to say it.
That is a fact, which they have agreed to. They said that these were mistakes, but they, whether mistake or not, the public was lied to. So this obviously, matters deeply to me, and it's just absurd that people would think that I'm doing this for clicks. I knew Charlie.
What did she just say? I know Charlie. Then she corrects herself. I knew Charlie. See, Erica has done this a couple times already. She's done it a few times too. They are talking in the present tense. And look, I can give someone grace for a little while. I can give someone grace for a couple of weeks after somebody passes, okay? Like, I can give you the benefit of the doubt for a little while. But now I can't do that. Like, I can't give you the benefit of the doubt whenever you're speaking in present tense. I told you, if you have watched any kind of interrogation videos, any kind of interviews with police or body language experts, I'm telling you, this was not intentional. She did not mean to say, I know Charlie. What am I getting at? Go watch my other stuff. Go watch my live stream, and then you'll understand what I'm getting at. All right, let's go to the next clip, 1634. Now this, here we go.
I don't know. Maybe you're right. If what you're saying is true, what is it they're covering up? You've so far intimated or inferred something weird involving Egyptian planes.
Now listen, we have not seen any kind of receipts on the planes, guys. Candace claims that she is going to be posting on her website the receipts for the planes. Okay? Yeah, I don't think it was an accident either. You always need to pay attention to what these people are saying, because she said it and she didn't mean to say it.
So, what's that about? You've inferred perhaps Israeli involvement in some way. You certainly inferred a lot of Turning Point USA involvement. That's a lot of people getting involved here in the murder of Charlie Kirk, potentially. But what I'm really curious about is, given you've been all over all this and you've been airing all these theories, well, which one is it? It can't be all of these things. Is it somebody?
Well, of course,
is it someone at Turning Point USA? I mean, who do you actually believe?
Of course, it can be all of those things. And what's really ironic here is that there's a clip of Charlie in the last months leading up to his death where he speaks about the JFK assassination, and he says that multiple countries were involved, multiple people were involved, the LBJ was involved, the feds were involved, and he's correct. That is what it means when there is a conspiracy. There are multiple people that are involved. Of course, there's not one person on a grassy knoll who shot JFK.
Well, there are
people who had to agree with it. The Dallas police were involved. I'm answering your question. You're asking, why aren't you just going to point to one person? That to me, even that seems like a part of telling people not to believe their own gut. Obviously, for this to have been pulled off, there had to have been multiple people involved. There had to have been people at Turning Point that were complicit in having.
There were a lot of people involved. A lot of people. And of course, Piers, he's a mainstream narrative guy. He's not going to deviate from that. We all know that, right? Now, Turning Point's hands are not clean of this. I don't think for 1 second, no matter what happened to Charlie, they were still complicit no matter what happened. And she's right, though. A conspiracy means that you have a coordinated effort with several links, people, groups that are involved in it, right? Now, I'm going to show you something. Now, some of you have already probably seen this on Dee Dee's channel. Now, this is the same whistleblower, Josh, that was on, there was another podcast he did a few days ago, but he talks about how Turning Point took a lot of these underage people, underage kids, out drinking.
During your time at TPUSA, and I know they have different chapters, and you were specifically at the one in Sacramento, would you say that the organization was what you expected? Because you are a Christian, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So would you say that it's what you expected, was something a little bit different in a good way or in a not so good way?
Yeah, I would say that it was a very different company from what I had
Sorry,
seen
guys.
from the persona that they push. They push a very Christian narrative outside of their company to the public, and they put on a very good persona of that. I will say, though, within the company, that kind of disappears and dissipates. We've had stripper vans picking us up, taking us out during trainings to the city of...
Wait. You had a what?
A stripper van. There was no actual strippers in there, but there was stripper poles, et cetera, stuff like that.
Was that because of scarcity and that's all they could afford, or what?
I highly doubt that, to be honest, with the amount of money that Turning Point does get. So
Right. They're a multi-million-dollar, $100 million company. And that was definitely intentional. I mean, you can rent party buses that have stripper poles in them, guys.
it was just very appalling to see that. That was the third day of training. And then they took us out to a bar the first night with our administrators. It was an 18 and up bar. And then the second night, they allowed us to go out with our senior field reps and go drinking, even though some of us were underage as well. So
now I want to be devil's advocate, though, while listening to this, Josh.
Of course.
Would you say that this is indicative of the company as a whole, or would you say that this was more or primarily, maybe more so the culture in Sacramento?
No, this training took place in Phoenix, Arizona at Turning Point's HQ. So that's why I would implicate this to the whole company's decision.
Do you think this is something that Charlie Kirk knew about?
I want to say no, but there is a chance he could know about that.
How would you know? Like, if you didn't interact with Charlie and Charlie wasn't around at the time, whenever y'all were going out, nobody's to say that he did or he didn't, right? There's no confirmation or, how would anybody know?
But I highly, highly doubt that.
You said a stripper bus, but there were no strippers, so that's good.
Right.
But what would be the purpose of that? Was there some sort of suggestions or sort of weird behaviors that was happening on the bus?
People were dancing on the stripper poles, not obviously doing stripper dance moves, but swinging around and stuff, dancing to music in the buses, which is another thing. They were playing like hip hop, rap music. I personally just listen to Christian and country music. That's just me. But it was just kind of weird, for a Christian
There
company
you go.
to put up that.
Wow. Now I have seen
Absolutely.
like headlines or something, but I've never actually watched a video of saying anything about a stripper bus. That's crazy.
Okay. Let's move on. Well, I'm losing people. Let's go back to Candace on Piers. I know everybody's already seen that.
Doesn't mean maybe this person's like, hey, I'm going to help you.
Hang on, let me stop you. Hang on. When you say obviously somebody at Turning Point, you are accusing right now people that worked with Charlie Kirk at the company he built, which is now run by his widow. You are directly accusing people in that company of being complicit in his murder, right?
I want to just be very clear connecting that dot. So I said that when there is a conspiracy, of course, there are going to be multiple people involved. So applying that same.
Now, I want to make myself abundantly clear about the whistleblower Josh, okay? This guy. I want to make myself abundantly clear. I don't trust the words coming out of anyone's mouth unless it is actually verified. I'm just going to take his information that he just gave and I'm going to file it away. That's what I do. We are observers here. I need everybody to understand that. I trust nobody. Nobody. But I'm going to file that information away for later. You understand? Okay.
To JFK, right? Knowing, as I do, and as Charlie did believe that LBJ was involved, which then implicates the feds as having been involved, which then implicates the Dallas police station.
Okay, now they just go on to talk about, they argue about the JFK assassination. I'm going to fast forward. We're going to go to 33 minutes because this gets interesting. It gets interesting.
It's strange to me that man calls himself a pastor. I communicated fully that, everything about that man makes my skin crawl. I think he's a bad person. I think he's involved with bad people. And this is obviously, if Mikey's a son. And, I asked a bit about Rob McCoy and Mikey McCoy's relationship. I would just like to be clear. I have never, I am not going to be emotionally conditioned to believe that asking questions when we aren't getting any answers is the crime itself. The crime was when Charlie got shot in the neck. So,
you've already said, though,
the easiest way to remove, the easiest way, let me finish. You can't ask me questions, let me finish.
You're contradicting what you just said to me. You said to me earlier, you said you gave two names.
Thank you, girl. Thank you.
People in the Turning Point organization that you believe are complicit in some way. You gave those names, but you wouldn't name them because it wouldn't be right to do that. But you did name this guy, Mikey McCoy, who was the chief of staff.
Because his actions are strange. You're two different things. Really, Piers, I think you're having trouble holding on to two buckets of thought here, okay? You said, in regards to someone that was complicit in murder, that is a very serious allegation. I gave them names of people that would not surprise me if they did have foreknowledge of Charlie Kirk's murder. You are now...
Okay, let me just say this because there's going to be people filtering in and out. I understand that a lot of you watch Baron, you watch Nate over at Valhalla. But to be fair, Baron and Valhalla both are, you'll be able to go back and watch their live stream. You're not going to be able to come back and watch this because it's on shorts, okay? It's not going to upload later. So if you want to catch it now, go back and watch Baron and Nate later on, like this evening or tomorrow. Like I appreciate you guys being here is what I'm saying. So I'd appreciate it if you watched it, give me the views, help me with my subs. I'd really appreciate it. Now let's continue.
Years and you're asking me about Mikey McCoy and why I am raising red flags about his behavior on that day. Because I believe his behavior on that day was weird. I think it's painfully obvious.
So do you believe
I don't know people that don't duck when a shot comes down. So I'm sorry that I have eyes and I am agreeing with the public that Mikey McCoy's behavior was weird on that day. Okay, these are two different things. Now, if I'm going to make an assertion that somebody had something to do with planning this murder, I better be damn sure. And I need, if I said on my podcast, right? That's all I'm saying. I had never made that claim that Mikey McCoy planned Charlie Kirk's assassination.
No, I think like a lot of the claims you're making, it's difficult to work out what you're actually claiming. You're throwing a lot of mud in the air, including people's names, which immediately...
Here's the issue that I have, okay? She refuses to explore other possibilities of his demise. She refuses to explore anything else other than he was shot, okay? That is the biggest issue I have with Candace.
Has millions of people chasing after these guys on social media. And
I'm sorry they get caught lying. I'm sorry, what is this? It's the public is actually being abused, okay? Let's not pretend that the victim
are they, or do you just want them to think they are?
No, the public is being abused because you're basically saying, stop noticing that people at Turning Point USA are lying.
No,
How dare Candace and the public know? Yes, you are. How dare Candace?
When there's an emphatic repudiation of what you're saying.
If Mikey lies and Rob McCoy lies and Blake Neff lies, and yes, all of these people have lied on record after the assassination, and the public goes, hey, that's kind of a weird lie. You're like, how dare you put a target on their back by noticing that they're lying? I mean, what weird psychological operation is this?
Don't lie. Okay, but
don't lie.
Do you believe Erica Kirk has been lying about it?
No, I have been explicit on my show when people were saying...
I love how she just paused. She paused very briefly, but she still paused. You're like, do you believe Erica was lying? And you're like,
Aren't you attacking Erica Kirk? I said, because Erica Kirk has not lied. If to the extent that she lies, I will call it out. And that is why I did call out when she lied, okay? When she said Charlie Kirk never received any text messages the night before.
Oh, but listen to this.
Is worried about that he was going to get murdered tomorrow. I instantly said, well, here we have it. That's a lie. He definitively did send out text messages to both Dan Flood and Andrew Kolba, and we met in person. She clarified that, okay, yes, that's real. And we didn't know until you said it because he was using a different app and she was checking his iMessages. So to me...
Do you realize how stupid that is? That, that Erica was like, oh, I'm sorry. I messed up. No, that it wasn't a lie. I just didn't check his other messages. I checked his iMessages. How stupid do you have to be to believe that? Come on now. We're not dum-dums.
If you lie, you're going to make an enemy of me. Just don't lie. How about that basic requirement to say to people, don't lie about what happened on that day. Don't lie about what you did on that day. Because that's the first clue to investigators that that person should be looked at further.
All
Again,
right.
this is common sense.
Okay, let's move to something else Blake Neff said. He said, Candace has made other stranger allegations involving French paratroopers in maroon shirts, Egyptian Air Force planes flying out of Provo, Utah, and potential underground assassins traveling through unseen tunnels. At one point in early November, she started wildly throwing suspicion on members of Utah Valley's soccer team for wearing hoodies. I could go on. There's always something new coming up. None of it ever pans out because from the start, there's been nothing there. What do you say to that?
He's lying, and that's the reason why Blake Neff is a suspicious character. I mean, him saying that I pointed to a soccer UVU person is complete fiction. I never had discussed that person on my show. Somebody was asking for a clearer photo of the person on X, and I shared it. No suspicion. Never said this person had anything to do with anything. I never covered him as a suspect on my show of anything at all. Didn't ask for more information on this person. That kid instantly responded and said, oh, those are our school colors, and that was it. And Turning Point tried to turn it into a thing. Why are you doing that? Regarding the Egyptian planes, that's a fact. Why are you saying she said that there was a military Egyptian plane on the ground that day? There was. In fact, there were two. So why are you saying that that's like a weird thing to notice? And that is why people have been flagged about these planes to his
Let me
other.
ask you about the
I'm
planes.
never allowed to answer a single.
Yeah, he keeps interrupting her. He interrupts her through the entire thing. But listen to what she says next.
That you say in entirety before you move on to the next
Well, you can't
question.
just keep talking ad infinitum. I'm allowed to ask you another
No, it's
question.
called answering. You just read an entire statement
It's
of multiple points of
actually
links.
called
I got to
filibustering.
the second point, and you're like, let me ask you a question.
No, I want to ask you. No,
Piers, you already asked me a question.
I
Try
want
to
to
answer the
ask
question that you asked.
No, I want to ask you a follow-up specifically about the Egyptian planes, given you've now addressed it, which is, where is the evidence that any of these Egyptian planes were tracking Erica Kirk?
I am going to be publishing the full document because there's not even just 2 planes. There's actually 4 planes that have been flying in, and I should be more thorough because I realize that the
And
spreadsheet
tracking
I posted
Erica
people.
Kirk?
Not that. Let me. Can I just please, without you cutting me?
Let me be very clear. In this episode with Piers and in her pod episode that she dropped today, she goes over 0 details. 0 details of her and Erica. Just so we're aware, she does not divulge the actual details of what they discussed.
Sure. Answer one thing. Okay, thank you. These Egyptian planes, more broadly speaking, now that we have gone deeper onto the planes recognizing that the reaction to them is not normal, what we can say is that the Egyptian planes are tied to Israel. They've been flying in and out of Israel with their transponder off for years. But regarding the Turning Point USA picture, more broadly speaking, Turning Point USA faith, okay? Obviously, Erica has been involved in a lot of the church stuff. It's not specifically tracking just Erica. It's Turning Point faith events. Broadly speaking, I gave that information as well. I told Justin Strife and Erica, I'm happy to give you this color-coded spreadsheet. There's no question. There's a correlation here between Turning Point USA faith in particular, which, by the way, from the beginning of this, I've said something is wrong with this faith contingent, especially because Rob McCoy for a while was heading up that department, and he makes my skin crawl. And so, yeah, I have the evidence for that, and we're going to actually publish it on our website. So there's going to be no question, which I should have done.
Okay, so they just blabber on about the Egyptian planes. Now, listen, I want you to hear me out. Don't you find it funny how now all of a sudden it's acceptable to criticize or at least publicly talk about Philadelphia, all right? And not worry too much about being the backlash or being deplatformed. Now, before I say this, I need everybody to hear me. I need you to hear me. When I mention Philadelphia, I am referring specifically to their government and to those who are in a position of power or influence in any modern media today, okay? That is who I'm referring to of the Philadelphians. I'm not talking about the people themselves. I'm talking about those that are in positions of power. Now, I believe it has become acceptable because for biblical prophecy to be fulfilled, a lot of the world must turn on Philadelphia, all right? This is backed by scripture. It is in your Bible. Now, I'm going to listen to this. Was hilarious. This actually made me about fall out of my chair, y'all. I about fell out when she said this. Listen to what she said. She didn't mean to say it, but it was hilarious.
At the end of the year because our podcast was successful. I have not sold a t-shirt, nothing with his name on it. It's just me.
Candace, the reason I told the Alex Jones story is he did incredibly well out of Sandy Hook with his investigations. But as was
y'all don't even want me to go down that rabbit hole for that school. You don't. I'll make a lot of y'all mad. Y'all make it look. I was around when that happened, and I did all the digging. I did all the investigating that I could do. And let me tell you, I have a very controversial opinion.
Brought by the families eventually, and I think we're going to see the same thing with Brigitte Macron and you, is that he was weaponizing deliberate lies for money. And I think you
Brigitte
did that.
Macron has a penis. I really want you to know
Brigitte Macron does
that.
not have a
Listen,
penis.
Brigitte Macron has
No,
a
she
penis.
doesn't.
I'm sorry.
She had
Okay,
3 children.
Did she get it removed?
She had 3
Did you get it
children.
removed? Yeah, you can have adoptive children. You can call somebody, but Brigitte Macron was born a dude named Jean-Michel Trump. No, and I just feel I want you to know that. I want you to know that Brigitte Macron probably stands peeing up. Probably pees standing up.
She said she probably stands peeing up instead of standing, instead of saying peeing standing up, she said stand peeing up. Oh, but I about fell out when she said that. Oh, I'm sorry. I know y'all are hearing me cackle like a hen. I apologize.
weird spot where they're just making things up every single day. It's like my husband has a Qatari passport, and I just ignore it and I keep investigating because I know what it's meant to do. It's meant to distract me. I'm very aware of what these people are trying to do, and it's not working. So I don't really feel.
Which of your theories? Which of your theories?
Went as a tip pool.
All right. Which of your theories when you were with Erica did she think was convincing?
We didn't. What do you mean by that?
Well, did she think that Israel was involved? Did she think that there were French paratroopers?
Ryan, I am so sorry, honey, but I have the playback speed. She's talking fast, but I've got the playback speed jacked up. That way I don't, just to keep from copyright. I apologize. I can turn it down just a little bit. I'm sorry. I know that's probably driving some of y'all away, and I apologize. I can turn it down a little bit.
Was involved? Did she think the Egyptian planes were complicit? Did she believe that Turning Point employees were involved? Which of the many theories?
I wasn't. I guess.
Did she think she's actually got any merit to it?
I think you're characterizing it like I sat down and tried to convince her of my theories. That wasn't the nature of the meeting that we had. I shared information with her and told her, what the feds were ignoring, and these are the things I'm looking into. Obviously, explained to her about the Egyptian planes and this bizarre connection to, Turning Point faith events and tours. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of like sharing the information.
I don't like the hesitation, y'all. I don't like it. I told you I don't trust her no way. But she's not giving us details. She's being very vague about that's exactly what she's done before. That's all she ever does is she's very vague about all this stuff. And she refuses to divulge the details of their conversations. And the fact that it wasn't recorded, I don't trust none of it.
With her, so there was nothing that...
But again, here's my problem, Candace, with the whole thing. Everything is like, you're just asking questions, you're sharing information, you're doing this. But when I actually ask you to be specific about, well, who do you think did what? That's where it all hits a shuddering halt. You don't know, do you? You don't actually know anything.
Of course, if I actually knew who shot Charlie Kirk, I would be instantly publicizing it. I'd say, I figured it out.
I don't think he was shot. I went over at my live stream, and I'm totally on board with Barron with this, okay? And not just with Barron, but I have my own theories. I believe that what you heard, the shot that actually rang out, that was a blank. I've heard plenty of blanks in my life, and that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a blank. And there was also, some practical effects going on as well. That's my opinion. People don't like it. That's okay. Don't have to like it. But that's just, I know what they can do. I know what they're capable of. I've seen what they can do. Okay?
Figured it out. That's not how an investigation works. Piers just doesn't work like that, okay? You have to follow the clues until you arrive at a conclusion. Of course, I cannot confidently state that it was, John Smith who shot Charlie Kirk from the left side. I don't know that yet. I don't know that information yet. And when I do know it, I will publicize it without question. I just am pointing out the inconsistencies, the lies. He was not shot with 30-06, and he did not have a Man of Steel neck, and that's completely made up. Well, actually, that's going to be my show today. I do now factually know that Man of Steel thing was made up, and that never came from the surgeon's mouth. So again, we have another lie. We're going to check out Candace's episode she did today as well, okay? Because I know some of you probably haven't had a chance to check it out. But let's hear the closing remarks, because I really want you to hear this part too, because this bothered me.
Sensitive, I'd admit you were completely wrong. Is that a fair deal?
I was hoping that by the time we did this, I'd be able to do that because they showed me something that was so compelling. That didn't happen. So yeah, deal is on, as always. Between you and I, the deal is on.
Excellent. I'll add it to the list. Candace, I want to wish you a Merry Christmas. We're both Christians. We have that in common. And it's always good to have you on Uncensored. I'll say this about you. I'll say this to everyone. You come and do these things. You don't duck them. You don't shirk them. You don't hide away. You stand behind what you say. My only question for you, it's not for you, it's about you, is when people say to me, do you think she believes this stuff? I don't know. I don't know if you do or not. I know that Alex Jones didn't.
It's just so fun being the lone person to be attacked every second and every minute of every day that I'm just like, you know what, this is so fun for me. I love it. I love the threats of losing your job and people going after your sponsors and having to worry about your security. It's so fun. It would be so easy. I would be a billionaire. I'd be on the cover of Vogue magazine if I would just say the thing. If I would just be a federal operative and tell people to trans their kids and tell them like Brigitte's like a really beautiful woman and tell them that Charlie Kirk was shot by...
Here's my problem with what she just said, because that's like assuming that a Fed operative actually does all of those things. Look, like saying that you can't be a federal operative if you don't do those things, that's not true at all. You wouldn't believe the stuff inside of declassified files that I've read of people who are actually just as based as I am, actually a lot more based than I am, with strict biblical views who became operatives. Okay, so we're going to move on to Candace's episode, okay? I want you guys to hear what she claims, okay? She claims that she heard from the surgeon. The surgeon tells her that it was actually a bullet.
So yesterday, I revealed to you that I was told that Andrew Colvett was allegedly flying blind when he tweeted out the conversation that he had with the surgeon. Now, just to jog your memory, how that all came about was me doing the show and saying, oh, I saw the back footage and there was no blood. And then very quickly, which I didn't really understand why he had done this, he tweeted out that
anytime she mentions the footage that was taken behind Charlie, that, you know, that she says she got to see it, right? She said there was no red stuff. Every single time she has ever brought it up, she just skims right over it. She doesn't elaborate. She doesn't say, well, I saw Charlie as he was going down, like as soon as he got struck, and I didn't get to see the security rush in. Like, she doesn't give us any of those details. You need to pay attention to that, because if she's not going to elaborate on what she actually saw frame by frame, then I don't trust her, no way. But I'm telling you that she is playing her role in all of this. And yeah, she probably saw the footage and she's in on it.
long tweet about Superman neck, and he puts this quotation in here, quote, that the surgeon said, quote, absolutely, it should have gone through. Sorry, go back to the last one. Absolutely, the bullet should have gone through, which is very normal for a high-powered, high-velocity round. I've seen wounds from this caliber many times, and they always just go through everything. This would have taken a moose or two down, an elk, etc. Next up, that quotation continues. It was an absolute miracle that someone else did not get killed. His bone was so healthy, and the density was so impressive that he's like the Man of Steel. It should have just gone through and through. It likely would have killed those standing behind him, too. And that seems strange for a lot of reasons. First off, HIPAA compliance. Why would he speak to Andrew Colvett? Also, did Andrew Colvett record it? It's a pretty long quotation. Why is it in quotations? Do you remember that verbatim? And I can tell you that it's kind of been a mess since. This is kind of the beginning of everything, right? If we're being honest, that one solitary tweet was the beginning of the, what I would call, federal mask slip. It feels like they have been feeding us slop ever since. Well, I now feel comfortable revealing some more information for you, some that I have held on to, but which the people who gave this to me are now insisting that I reveal. Simply put, and I'm going to say allegedly here only because I did not speak directly to Dr.
So why would she hang on to this information? She could have come out with it.
Lee Trotter. But I very much have verified and trust this source. Simply put, never once did Dr. Lee Trotter say that Charlie's neck was stopped. Charlie's neck stopped a 30-06 bullet. It's actually hugely embarrassing for any surgeon to have said something like that. It's hugely embarrassing also because we're being told that, like, you know, he's violating HIPAA to get this information out there in this very high stress situation. You're actually accusing him of being not a professional on top of also kind of being an idiot. And you can imagine that that's put a lot of undue stress on the surgeon's family, as many of them have been wrongly implicated in a cover-up. Like, the absurdity of such a narrative, if you're going to put something out there,
She gets around to it, but basically she says that he was still struck with a lead projectile.
to be flack that comes upon the surgeon, the other doctors, the nurses.
I don't buy
you
it.
Involved? Did you try to get Charlie Kirk killed? Were you involved in staging this? Why would you say that he ate healthy? Right? And there's no doctor or surgeon that would say something like that. So to restate that, the quotation that Andrew Colvett shared on his X feed is not a direct quotation from the surgeon, like at all. Rather, what I was told is that what the surgeon communicated very clearly to Andrew. And yes, it is absolutely true that the surgeon, Dr. Lee Trotter, hunts, so he does have experience with bullets. What he communicated is that it was likely a frangible bullet that was used. Now, for those of you who don't hunt, maybe don't shoot, and you're not familiar with that term, frangible, like what's a frangible bullet? That refers to a specialized ammunition that is designed to disintegrate into powder upon impact with a hard surface. So it essentially reduces the risk of a ricochet. Instead, the bullet fragments. Makes it safer for close range training. It's not like the traditional bullets that are created to retain mass. Now, key part there is it eliminates the risk of ricocheting. Well, Andrew also told us that the bullet did ricochet. So what we have here is a conflict of statements. We are told that Andrew Colvett was flying blind, put up this tweet, said that the bullet ricocheted downward into his stomach, whatever. And I am telling you that on the other side of this, we have people who are close to the surgeon who say he said no such thing, and rather he said that it was like...
Then you please explain the burns on his hands, sweetheart, and on his chest and the rest of his body, because Barron has those photos. Yeah, it's melting my freaking brain too, Brian. It's ridiculous. And look, I know a lot of you are probably tired of it, and I get that. But the fact that this was just one big psyop is it eats me up. I think about this all the time, and I want people to understand and know that if they're willing to do this, if they're willing to go to this link to get to the Christian right by, quote unquote, taking out, making someone a martyr, such as Charlie, which either he is alive or he isn't alive, whichever it is, right? Either way, I believe the man still got electrocuted, and it was still made to look like something that it wasn't. And what was the purpose of that? That was to get to us. That was, and thank God I am not a part of the whole political, left-right paradigm anymore. I'm done with it. I'm done with the political system. You'll never see me vote again. Voting is pointless. Okay? It's pointless. All right.
Friendable bullet. What are we to make of that discrepancy? Yo, no say, Padres. But I'm going to move on because there's something else that is compelling and interesting, something that was unusual that allegedly transpired at the hospital. Now, I want to be clear that not only have I now heard this from somebody that was in the hospital, but another source unrelated to that source told me this a while ago, and I couldn't confirm it. They said a call was placed to a DC at the hospital, and this had something to do with Charlie's body. Now, because this seemed to me to be random and there was no clear way that I could verify that it took place, I kind of keep a separate box for like follow-up on that. Could be interesting later. Well, now it's interesting. It's interesting. A separate person is telling me that there was one thing very unusual that occurred on that day. Allegedly, Charlie gets transported to, I know I keep saying this wrong, Timpanogos Hospital. He's racing to surgery. That is confirmed. All of that is true. The conspiracies around that can be shut down. He was racing to surgery. He did still have a pulse. And when it was determined that his life could not be saved,
So we're supposed to just take her word for it that she double-checked all of these. Exactly. Thank you, Julie. We're supposed to just take her word for all of this. Just take her word for it that she's still showing no receipts, and that's why she's losing a lot of people. Which from the onset, I knew that this, I knew it was all a ruse, and I was just like, I want to see where she's going to go with this. And the fact that she will not get off of the fact that he was pew-pewed, that part, that is just major confirmation to me that she's playing her role. Did you hear what John Crist said? You're right. Did you hear what John Crist said? Did anybody watch John Crist on the podcast the other day? That you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you. Because he confirmed, which I already knew this. I've been knowing this for years. But some of you don't believe it. I'm not saying some of you in my audience. I'm saying that there's a lot of people out there that do not believe this, okay? But it is very telling, and it shows that the world is a stage and that the left-right paradigm especially is a lie. But just like in politics, whenever it comes to these political groups and these influencers and content creators that think they look like they're warring and have a rivalry, publicly, they don't. They don't. It is all a ruse. It's all fake. Okay? We're going to watch John, and I want he's going to confirm this for you. At least in my opinion, it confirmed it. Okay? Whoa, the quality is trash. Hang on. Well, I can't do anything about it. Sorry, guys.
Owens is there. And I go,
hang on.
Video. Tucker Carlson's there. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Now, he's talking about being at Tucker Carlson's. This just happened. Nick Fuentes went after Candace for the fact that, she was able to go to Tucker Carlson's Christmas party, yet she wouldn't fly to Arizona, right, to meet TPUSA, their headquarters. So John Crist went to the Christmas party. He is a Christian comedian.
Candace Owens is there. And I go, Lydia, Candace Owens is here. She's like, what? Well, I go, Candace is here. She goes, tell her I'm reading her book. I go, not Candace Bure. Candace Owens is here.
Yeah.
She's like, what?
The other one.
The real one.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And then and there's like a bunch of Turning Point people there. There's a bunch of I wrote down a list of everybody that I saw there. A bunch of comics were there.
Candace and people from Turning Point were there.
And Shaw, Theo, a bunch of people, a bunch of MMA fighters in there. And I was like, I go, all right. This is what I always have thought about those kind of things, and I'll just say it out loud for everybody listening. And I've said this before in some kind of context. There was Turning Point people there, and Candace Owens was there. Marjorie Taylor, Tucker Carlson. I hate to say this out loud. Everybody friends. Everybody friends.
Everybody friends, right?
And I go, I've heard before about Washington, D.C. It's like,
yeah,
we saw the Democratic majority leader and the Republican, they're at dinner.
It's been that way, y'all.
Yeah, everybody friends. And everybody kind of in we would see let's say Theo's good buddy of ours, he would be doing something. We were oh yeah, it's kind of just for the thing, for their job. They just kind of have to do, they kind of got to be on the sidelines and dump Gatorade on the coat. That's they're entertaining. That's what their thing is. Yeah. And I go, wait, I thought you, because the thing he said about shouldn't you guys be fighting? Shouldn't you guys be fist fighting in the center of this party? Yeah. Everybody, hey, you want a drink? Yeah, everybody.
Yeah. That's how, look, it's been that way.
Tucker Carlson's there.
It's been that way. That's what people don't understand. It has always been that way because the world is a stage, you guys. I mean, we're being played. Okay. So where was I going with this? Next, why does Tyler Robinson not look concerned? Can anybody answer that for me? I'm going to tell you why I'm bringing this up. Oh, I'll tell you why I don't think he looks concerned. Okay. He's not concerned at all about what's going to happen. Woo, that's loud. Hang on. First of all, whoever's doing the subtitles, the captions, you cannot, all you can hear is whispering. Like, you can't really make out what he said. I mean, he might have said a couple of those things, but I don't know. I don't think he said all of that. Whatever. Does he look concerned at all? At all? No. Now, I've seen other clips, not just this one, okay? He doesn't, he's not concerned because this is what's going to happen. Now, we will never know this. The general public will never know it, but I'll tell you exactly. People say, oh, well, life is not a Jason Bourne movie. Life is not a Mission Impossible movie. You would be honestly gobsmacked to learn that life, as far as not just everyday life, but the espionage life, the black budget life, the black ops guy's life, it's a lot like Hollywood. Whether anybody wants to admit that or not, there have been people that have come out and talked about it. And yes, and you can just go read declassified documents yourself and find out. Yes, it is. There's a lot of things that are happening that are very similar to what you see in movies. So here's what's going to happen. This is my theory. This is not definitive. This is just what I think will happen. Tyler Robinson will be convicted. And whenever he is convicted, he will receive the death penalty. And when he receives the death penalty, he will be put on death row and then immediately executed, but not really. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's going to have to do his time. He's going to have to stay in prison for a little while until the trial is over. And then once his date comes up, he'll be released. And everybody's like, well, how could they do that? Well, it's pretty simple. Have you ever watched I think it's the third or fourth Mission Impossible movie where Tom Cruise, I think it's the first movie where Simon Pegg was in it with him, where they were in the big skyscraper building, where Tom Cruise brings in the briefcase, right? The briefcase that has I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about. The masks, okay? The masks. That is a real technology that the agency uses. Okay, to where it is a briefcase that you carry around that can actually develop a mask on the go, on the fly. All it does, it scans your own biometrics, it scans your own face, and then once it puts you into the system, it's like, okay, well, what's the best looking face for you to cover you, to to go undetected. So basically, and go look online, go look on YouTube. I'll actually pull some up. Let's just go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do that. CIA mask. I'm going to show you how good these things are. He doesn't have to have plastic surgery when he gets out. He can just walk around in a mask. That's what I'm trying to, like, people are like, oh, he'll have to get plastic surgery if they quote unquote execute him. No, he won't have to do that. He can just walk around in a mask for the rest of his life. And Tyler Robinson probably isn't even his real name. Okay. These are good. These are really good. God, I hate ads. I hate ads so much. I really need to get an extension on here. Look at that.
A lot, but that's good.
Sorry, you probably can't see it. Look at that.
People are amazed.
It's pretty incredible. It's incredible. What I'm saying is Tyler Robinson could wear something like that. They could make up anything they wanted for him, and then he could walk around the rest of his days a free man. Now, what was his part in it? What was Tyler's part in it? I believe that he might have been actually there. But the weird part about that is that the CCTV doesn't look like him. So what I think they might have had a boo-boo, you know, and it might have had to do with what he was wearing or what, I don't know. But somewhere along the way, the footage doesn't look right. Like his face, it doesn't look like him. It looks similar to him, but it's not actually him. It doesn't actually look like Tyler, okay? So, and everybody's like, why in the world, why wouldn't they just take the actual footage of him? Because I don't think he took the same route to the roof, and I don't think he was on the actual roof. It's a big complicated mess that I've got in my head, but my point is that I think Tyler Robinson actually fired a blank. It's possible. It's possible. I apologize. That's all I do is ramble. That's all I do is ramble. I have no close. I haven't prepared any kind of closing for this. I had just planned to stream for about an hour, and I appreciate everybody joining me. I really do. That's it. That's pretty much it. I'm just really tired of being deceived. If you're tired of being deceived, if you are ready for somebody, there's not enough women in this space. Me and Deidre has talked about this. My girl in the chat, like there are not enough women that are here on YouTube that are based. And you know what? I know a lot of people watch Asmongold. I watch Asmongold too. He cusses way too much for me, but I like Asmon, and I hope he comes to Christ someday. But he's not based enough for me. I wish he was just a little more based, because there's a lot of things, you know, and you're not going to agree with somebody 100%, that you're just not going to. But he's not based enough. And I'm going to do a video actually about this new governor that's going to be this guy that is going to be running for Florida governor. Asmon put out a video about him a few days ago. And he's really, I think Asmon in a lot of respects is kind of naive, right? He's just a little bit naive. Now, if you guys, just tell me in the chat, do you want me to go ahead and play some of what Candace has said, or do you want to watch it on your own? You can watch it on your own time. That's up to y'all. I'll let you make that determination. I'm not going to stay on here much longer, but Candace just goes on to explain how the pew-pew was actually found, okay, with the bomb sniffer dogs, basically. Some of the dogs that they used for the law enforcement. Strange events. Okay, what happened? Okay, I haven't seen this part yet, so let's watch this.
Guys, over there. I'm telling you guys, we are in a fight for our minds. These are psychological wars that they impart upon the people, and I have never seen one more extreme than this Charlie Kirk cover-up that the feds are engaged in. Speaking of which, I've heard the rumors, obviously, that Dan Bongino, which it looks like Trump has just confirmed, is going to leave the FBI. As assistant director of the FBI, he will be stepping down. Trump said that he thinks that...
Please subscribe to the channel if you're tired of people lying to you. If you're tired of listening to influencers constantly lie to you, politicians constantly lie to you. I am here to expose these people, and I pray that someday that I'll be big enough to where I can actually, you know, make it on this platform, because I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being lied to. Now, I do relationship / like modern dating, modern marriage style content as well, because I'm tired of the modernity. I am so sick of women, of modern women, thinking that this new this third wave feminism is, I can't talk. Third wave feminism is the answer. It's not. And the complete destruction of the nuclear family has completely just messed me up. It's fried my brain. Like it's time that somebody spoke the truth in our circles, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here. I'm here to do that. There's not, like I said, there's not enough females in this space, and I am not what you would call a traditional Christian conservative. I'm a follower of Christ. That is it. Okay. Yes, I have pretty extreme conservative values, though, and a few libertarian values. But I'm going to tell you right now, I'm more based than what some of you can handle. I promise you. There's a lot of things that you're not going to agree with me on because I'm a little too extreme.
Dan wants to get back to his show. I think Dan has probably realized how far-reaching this corruption goes. I have been wondering why Dan has been silent, I would say effectively silent, on the Charlie Kirk situation. He's not been a part of the people that have been feeding us trash, and maybe his silence is actually some dignity. like saying, I'm not going to take part in this. And he's doing maybe what Marjorie Taylor Greene did and said, this is hopelessly broken. And I feel like I'm betraying the American people, and he's going to leave. And maybe he feels like he can fight.
Now, she's supposed to start talking about Charlie's SUV here in just a second, at least according to what the timestamp said.
From behind the mic. And I certainly am feeling like we are doing a lot here just by investigating this truly. And
she said, I thought she said earlier she had pictures of it.
And when I say we, I genuinely mean you guys back at home, because I feel like we're all kind of waking up to just how much the military controls, how botted comment sections can be. I click on this person and they just created an account. That's a war on your mind. Okay, that's a war on your mind. So sticking with this theme of federal corruption that transpired on that day, a major question, and I need to do more research on this, that in terms of like who was driving and what everybody said on the day. But what happened to the car that Charlie was driven into the hospital while he was still alive? Or better yet, what do you think should have happened to that car, or what is required to happen to a car after someone is assassinated in a car, or like is bleeding in a car and there's evidence? I would have assumed that the feds impounded the vehicle. Do we agree? That seems like every show that you watch. I used to watch 48 Hours. You got to impound the vehicle so that you can then collect more evidence. Well, the only indication of what we have learned from people that were actually in that vehicle on that day came from Frank Turek. And he does discuss with Megyn Kelly him getting his bag at the hospital after the FBI cleared the vehicle. I don't want to put words into his mouth. Let's take a listen to what Frank Turek had to say.
They roped off the vehicle that we took out of there as a crime scene. I don't know why. It wasn't part of the crime scene, really. So we couldn't get into the vehicle until the FBI cleared it. And it so happened that Charlie, in the back seat below him, between these two bucket seats, was my computer bag. So everything, I couldn't go anywhere. My wallet was in there. I wasn't going anywhere anyway, but I had to go in and get that out. And so,
Brian, thank you so much, honey. Go get some rest. Thank you. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate you.
When they finally cleared it, I got into the car and I pulled out my bag, and draped over my bag was Charlie's necklace that had a cross and medallions on it. And I had heard they were looking for that. And so cop was like, oh, we've been looking for that. I said, I got it. So I just took it.
Okay. So he's explaining that they did say this is a crime scene. Obviously, there could be evidence in.
So why didn't they do that for the tent where the actual quote unquote assassination took place? That was the actual crime scene, That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Jeez. That makes sense to me. But they
think we're stupid.
Charlie's necklace, and he goes away. And I would have assumed that they then impounded the vehicle for further inspection. But that if I had assumed that, I would be wrong. Actually, what happened is immediately after the car was transported to it was towed to a towing facility that's just kind of really around the corner from the hospital. And then from there on Monday, they had another tow truck come and take that car so that it could get a cleaning and be immediately put up for auction. Now, this is unusual on two ends of this. I'll tell you what those two ends are. The first end is that this was a rental vehicle, right? And even if a crime happens in a rental vehicle, especially a brand new one that is that big, you as the owner of a rental car facility, you have an option to get that car back. You have an option, obviously, to get that car back, to get it cleaned. You're going to get the whole thing recarpeted. That would be a tremendous loss against the company for you to just, never mind, whatever, sell it. Well, apparently, and I'm saying this allegedly, the owner of the company was in California at the time. He gets a phone call and he's just like,
I'm with you, bro. I'm with you.
Never want to see this vehicle ever again at our facility. I don't want there to be any PTSD for the people that work here at the rental facility. Just like get rid of it. You could sell it, and that's it. It's never coming back here. Maybe that is just kind of the good-natured response. I would assume they weren't going to, haul in with all of Charlie's blood in it. But the speed at which this vehicle was...
Candace talks like me. She takes forever to get around to the point, and I do too. That's just the way I'm built, and I'm sorry that's just the way that I am. I take forever to get around to the point because I deviate. I take a rabbit trail here, there, and everywhere.
Just given up effectively for auction is unusual, especially because they didn't even require insurance to come, which would make sense. We know how this works. You can't collect, even if you're going to say, hey, whatever, I want to get rid of this vehicle. You're going to want to make sure that you have tons of pictures and evidence, and you got to send the insurance guys. The insurance guys have to talk about how much damage has been done to this vehicle. I don't know who has to pay for it to be fixed before it can be sold, but you're going to have to send insurance. None of that happened. Okay. Just like, poof, that's it. The feds.
And it didn't happen because it didn't have to happen. There was no need for it. You see what I'm saying?
Everything's going down at the hospital. The feds are really at this hospital, and then it's over. I find that to be very strange. I have 6 photos of the inside of that vehicle. We are on the fence about, and I don't know what you guys think in terms of YouTube and showing this, or are we going to have to put this up on the website when we drop all the Egyptian plane logs? I mean, what do we think, guys? I'm letting you, Mark, make a decision here about whether or not, and if we do show this is obviously very viewer discretion advice. People have watched crime scenes on the news. Should we?
Here's the deal. Let's just say that she shows the pictures, because I don't know if she does. I haven't seen this part. Let's just say that she does. Do you think that I'm going to believe it? If there's red stuff in it? Do you realize how easy you can just squirt stuff in there? Like, I'm going to actually believe that.
What do you think? You think we'll show one of them that's not so gory? Yeah, okay, yeah, I think the back row is probably the best. Like, this is just so you guys know that we're not making up that we have these photos. We have these photos, and they tell a story. And I think it's important to share these photos with people, which I'm going to do. Investigators, when I say investigators, I mean, like, mommy sleuths and investigators on the ground who have been looking into the story and not accepting the fed slop. I think it's a good thing. I think we can come out of that so you guys can see it's interesting.
Okay.
It's very interesting, and it tells.
Did you see it?
I think, just in here about whether or not, and if we do show this is obviously like very viewer. They tell a story, and I think it's important to share these photos with people, which I'm going to do. Investigators, when I say investigators, I mean, like, mommy sleuths and investigators on the ground who have been looking into the story and not.
After seeing his arms, do we realize just how thorough the feds are in planting evidence, in staging crime scenes? Do we all realize that, right? That that a lot of these people are professionals. Why would I trust this? Why would I trust her? Why, especially since that's all she can talk about is the fact that he was pew-pewed, and why won't she talk? Here, let me ask you guys a question. She keeps saying that this is a military operation, right? She has said that repeatedly, over and over and over again. You know how many times I have heard Nate from Valhalla VFT offer his services to her and say, Candace, if like you need somebody to direct you in this, to guide you in how the military actually operates, because whoever your liaison is, like whoever the person is that you're speaking with, they don't know what they're talking about. Because whenever she said E3 or E4, when the guy was telling her the story about whenever he walked into the building, she was like, oh, well, I meant to say 03 or 04. Well, that's still not a high-ranking officer. That's a low-ranking officer. So it wasn't like there were people of brass there, right? So why wouldn't you reach out to Nate whenever he can direct you in exactly how all of this works? Why wouldn't you? That just another reason why I don't trust her. I'm not saying that, look, there are a lot of things that she refuses to cover, to talk about, to, let's see. Like I said, the details of look, it's getting late and my brain is not working on, it's working on like 2 cylinders instead of 5. Okay. I apologize. My brain is not working right. Why won't she talk about the footage that was behind him? She refuses to talk about the details. Excuse me. I'm drinking eggnog. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The footage that was behind Charlie, she refuses to elaborate on the very fine details of what happened in the video. She just skims over it as if it's any other thing. And then she's hung up on the bullet. She's hung up on him getting shot. And she refuses to reach out to actual credible people that could tell her how these things actually work. But she won't do it. Why won't she do it? And she won't address it. She won't talk about it. There's certain things that she refuses to talk about. So it's like, I'm done. Like, I'm going to keep listening, obviously. And I suggest all of you keep listening to all of these people. I don't trust Tim Pool. I don't trust Candace Owens, Crowder, Ben Shapiro, Benny Johnson, Matt Walsh, Tucker Carlson. You heard what John Chris said. The world is a stage. And, George Carlin might not have been a believer in God. He mocked God all the time, but he was right about the way the world works. It's a big club and you ain't in it. All right. That's just the way it is. There's nothing in this world that could ever. Okay. Let me give you an example of WWE. Somebody said it before. WWE, like literally WWE, it's performative. And all of this from Candace, from Erica, all of it is performative. And even what Tim Pool did, even whenever he was going off on his diatribe and freaking out like a man child, well, he was actually acting like a woman. If you want to be, if I'm being completely honest, except, I'm a woman, but I don't think I think I've acted that way maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, total, but he did it in front of God and everybody in the internet and his, everybody and their mama. But Tim Pool, like, it was so performative. Like, it just stinks. All of it stinks. And I'm done with all of these people. We need to just trust our instincts, trust Jesus Christ. That's it. If you don't believe in Jesus, I feel sorry for you. I hope that you seek Christ out, because he is our only hope out of this mess, y'all. He is our only hope. And I believe, because of everything busting wide open with AI, with all of the technology accelerating at such a high rate, with all of these psyops going on every single day in front of our eyes, we're being deceived. Look, I just go watch my urgent message to Christians video, and I will explain to you how propaganda has been used throughout the years and how it's being used today. It's being used through influencers. It's being used through people like Candace Owens. Okay, you can't trust any of these people, none of them. So, I'm just done with all of them, and I'm not going to put my stock. I'm not going to put my hope or my trust or my support into these people. And it's one thing to get behind somebody and say, you know what, I'll wait and see how it goes. Let's see how this pans out. But to say, oh, we're with you, we stand with you, and no matter what anybody says, we've got your back. And it's like, you don't know these people. You have never met them a day in your life. How do you know how they act when they're not behind the camera? How do you know? You don't. You have no idea who they are. You haven't met them. And look, mainstream media was used for 85 years to manipulate the public. Okay, I told you. It's late. I'm getting tired. Mainstream media was used. Now, today, it's influencers and content creators. Most of all, right? Most of all, conservative content creators. In the political sphere, it's mostly conservative and libertarian content creators, and there's a lot of there's a lot of liberal ones too that are actually playing their part and trying to swing the pendulum in the other direction and trying to manipulate and brainwash all of these people into believing the woke agenda. Yes, but I believe that once the pendulum swings back in the other direction, I hate to see what's going to happen, y'all. This is not going to end the way that we think it is. Us rising up against Philadelphia is not going to end the way you think it will. Everybody waking up to the fact that they are running a lot of things, a lot of operations, a lot of people in politics. Yes, that's true. But my concern comes with what God has told us in his holy word. He has told us that the world is going to rise up, that so many people in the world are going to rise up against Philadelphia. Okay. And being that that's going to happen, then he's going to, he ends up waking his people up to where they will come to Christ, to where they will actually believe in Christ. They get a chance at salvation. They basically get a second chance at salvation because he wakes them up to make them realize that they need Christ. Because, those people don't believe in Jesus. They don't believe Jesus is the Messiah, right? Most of as far as, it depends on what kind of Jew they are, obviously, but you see what I'm saying, that all of this is not going to end the way you think it will. This is going to end in tribulation, the actual great tribulation. And here's the big kicker about all this, y'all. I am a Southerner. I am a Christian. I go to a Southern Baptist church, but I do not believe in a pre-tribulation rapture. I'm sorry, but I don't. I will never apologize for that because I know what my Bible says. My Bible does not tell me a specific time nor day that not only God comes back, that not only Jesus comes back, but when the rapture is supposed to happen. It doesn't give us a precise time that that's supposed to happen. So I don't believe that and that's why I think God tells us a great falling away happens, right? He's got me on fire right now, y'all. Got to keep going. Whenever he gets it, whenever the Holy Spirit wakes up within me, when he's telling me I need to be teaching on something, that I'm going to do it. Okay. I'm not a pastor. I never will. I'll never be somebody who's good at biblical. I'm not a Bible scholar. I'm not good at memorizing scripture. I'm not good at it, but I know what his word says, and I can at least translate a little bit. Right. So whenever he's telling me in my heart right now that the pre-tribulation rapture is something that we cannot rely on, we have to learn we're going to have to adapt and endure. He tells us that a lot of us are going to have to endure the great tribulation, y'all. And the reason why the great falling away happens, this is my theory. It is now there is no biblical scripture to confirm this, but I believe the great falling away happens because the rapture doesn't happen before the tribulation. Do you understand? All right. That is what I believe. I believe that the great falling away occurs, that all of these people fall away from Christ because the rapture doesn't happen. And when it doesn't happen and the Antichrist takes center stage and we're still here, that is going to push people toward the Antichrist and away from God, away from Jesus. Do you understand? That is my belief. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. That just means that I believe, that's just my belief. Now, that's what God's telling me right now. He's telling me that I need to tell y'all that. Okay. Okay. I've been streaming for an hour and 5 minutes. Candace goes on and on and on about these pictures. And I'll play a little bit more of it, and then I'm going to get off here.
I think the Fed slop, I think it's a good thing.
Look, I promise you'll enjoy my content. Look, I'm not like some of these women that believe in third wave feminism and this modern dating world. I don't believe in any of that stuff. I'm a based Christian Southern mama. That's what I am.
I think we can come out of that so you guys can see it's interesting. It is very interesting, and it tells, I think, just more pieces can come together. I think we need to know where everybody was sitting in this car, what everybody said. I know that there have been people that have been doing that work, and I intend to partner with them to just make sure that everything makes sense, okay? Now, pivoting, because what I'm really getting at and what I have been clear about from the very beginning, I just think the feds are implicated. I do. I just feel the feds are implicated. Everything they are doing, everything that we are learning, everything that I know tells me that they went there to cover everything up. Including sending U.S. Marshals on a wild goose chase. Everybody who's there that day says the feds were not acting right. They don't act.
Now, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I believe that Candace has certain lines that she will not cross. There are certain things. Look at her face. There's certain things that Candace refuses to talk about, and I said that earlier. She's not going to deviate from the official narrative in terms of him being shot. She's not going to, there's certain things that she's not going to talk about. She's not going to talk about the details of the actual footage that she saw that was behind Charlie. And that was one of the things that Piers Morgan should have asked her earlier is, what did you see in the footage? All you said was you didn't see any red stuff, but what else? What did you see in the footage? Did you see whenever the security, none of that stuff. None of that stuff she has talked about. She has not talked about the strangeness of the actual footage from that day, the way that Barron is going over it, okay? He's going over it with a fine-tooth comb. And if you like his content, you like Valhalla, you'll like me, okay? Now, I know they're streaming right now, but I'm about to get off here. And, you can go watch those guys. Those are my dudes. I really like them. They're not everybody's cup of tea, but I like Nate and I like Barron too. But, Candace has lines that she's not going to cross. There's certain things that she's not going to talk about. There's certain things aspects of this that she is not going to question because she's not allowed to. You might think, oh, well, she works for herself. No, I promise you, she doesn't. She's playing her role in all this. She has an agreement. I said this before her and Erica had this meeting. I was telling everybody, I believe that Candace and Erica have an agreement. They have an agreement. There's certain things and certain people that Candace can talk about and go after, but there's certain things she can't, that she's agreed not to. Certain toes that she's agreed not to step on. That is my opinion.
I feel like they wanted to solve the crime, but rather to create hurdles, including Cash saying, we got him. And then it wasn't the person, oh, never mind, we made a mistake, was to stop people from actually discovering who killed Charlie Kirk in those critical hours following the shot. They were attempting to disrupt, actually, and I believe that. So, like I said to you guys yesterday, and don't worry, every following 2 days we're just gonna have bombs for you guys. But I really sense there has been this ratcheting up of what I have been telling you all year. There are military bots. These are military grade bots that are online. I saw them after October 7th. I saw these military grade bots when they wanted me canceled from Australia. I just recognize the pattern of what they do. They kind of all say the same thing, and it just is meant to get into your psyche. But we recognize this increase in this botted activity after we started speaking about Fort Huachuca. Talk about Fort Huachuca. We talk about this guy. He's convinced that he saw Brian Harpole, and we start talking about the Egyptian planes. All of this is on the same day. We're getting a picture, and that felt really relevant. That he believes he stumbled upon this, all hands on deck final meeting the day before. And initially, people thought, man, I think maybe somebody's pulling Candace, and then we were able to verify his story. people that are currently stationed there. Well, I want to now, and this is a longer clip, but I think it's important because we went through trying to point to you guys the fact that there is this weird plane activity going to that base. I want to now play this longer clip of Baron Coleman. He did just a really great video.
Wait a minute. Okay. I might have to change my opinion. Let's see what she says. I have not seen this.
Going through and helping people to understand what it means when you see that SAM call sign on a plane that is flying, particularly from Andrews outside of DC. And I'm going to play this longer clip of Baron Coleman and hope he doesn't hit me for stealing his content. Take a listen.
Well, tonight I can confirm that following Candace's show last night, I started some research, and what I found floored me. I don't know who contacted Candace or whether he's credible, but I do know this. If that man or anyone else is running an op on Candace and trying to trap her into a story that doesn't add up, ultimately to destroy her reputation, they planted a key piece of evidence into the story that lends a lot of credibility to what he said.
You know what's wild about this is the fact that she's playing this clip, but she refuses to touch the electrocution narrative. At least as of right now, she refuses to touch it.
Piece of evidence is a jet that's used exclusively by very few people. And those people are presidential family members, cabinet officials, and military generals at the Pentagon, such as the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And that jet was present at the location of the supposedly high-level meeting the day before Charlie was killed. I was watching Candace Owens this afternoon, so I know she covered the presence of the jet. I'm going to go further with that story, but I'll recap for those who aren't aware of the story, and I'll add considerable detail that she did not report. The flight was a special air mission flight. The United States Air Force Special Air Mission exists to provide safe and secure transport to our country's highest-ranking individuals. Think president, vice president, presidential and vice presidential family members, cabinet members, occasionally congressional delegations. That particular jet was present at the location of this alleged meeting on the morning of September 9th, one day before the neutralization of Charlie Kirk. And that jet had recently flown.
Okay, so what I'm getting from this is that she's playing this clip, you know, of him confirming the jet that she has mentioned. Okay, or one of the jets that she's mentioned.
For example, President Trump's family back
she
in their
just
summer home
mentioned.
in Bedminster, New Jersey. I'll show you that in a minute. That flight was after the Independence Day holiday. So this is an important jet. I'm going to give you a quick breakdown of what are known SAM call signs, SAM, Special Air Mission call signs, because it's going to be important as we work our way through the flight logs of this jet.
Now, to my understanding, like I've already seen this. Now, some of you may not have already seen this, but what I find interesting about this is that she's not playing anything else except about the call sign on this jet, okay?
Sometimes you'll see a rare call sign, very rare call sign. It's SAM 000. Sometimes you'll see a 001 or a 002. But when you see zeros leading the call sign, particularly 000, that call sign is highly sensitive. It's when the White House or the U.S. Air Force want to be deliberately vague about the exact passenger manifest. On August 25th, 2025, this is 15, 16 days before Charlie Kirk was killed, there was a flight on this jet from D.C. to Colorado Springs with that important and rarely used call sign, SAM 000. Whoever flew under this incredibly highly sensitive call sign, SAM 000, on August 25, flew from Joint Base Andrews to Colorado Springs, home of the 10th Special Forces Group. It stayed in Colorado Springs for 3 hours, and then it flew to Las
Okay,
Vegas,
so it's
arriving there at
basically lining up with some of the information that she's already provided, okay? We get it.
Schedule, but it is intriguing that this flight, as he says, goes into Las Vegas, and we're going to now show you that flight path, bring that up, and I'm going to also tell you why that August 25th date is particularly interesting when I pack it into my neat little timeline now, because we are looking at data and time zones.
Oh, jeez. She's killing me with this about these planes. And I'm not saying there is not any legitimacy to these flight logs, okay? I'm not saying that. I'm saying that Candace is focusing on all the wrong things. Well, not that she's focusing on all the wrong things. She's focusing only on certain things and leaving others out. And that's what's annoying about this. And that's why I think that she's playing a role in this.
I'm going to bring in Mark to explain that August 25th trip and
at an unknown time because that data just
Okay.
own words on Sean Ryan.
How many days prior were you guys there?
We generally, the permitting process and all that goes on behind the scenes. And then there's a questionnaires that are filled out that we used to, there was a lot of busy work. And then so, you know, kind of like in the military, what you did, we create forms that, hey, let's get this information up front.
Mm-hmm.
And so that we have a duplication process so that we can confirm it.
All these people are lying. They're lying. Every one of them, they're lying. No, you're right. Yeah, you mentioned that the other day. Yeah, it's crazy. And then the amount of makeup that was on Charlie's hands in the casket was suspect. And Baron pointed that out too. And you could actually still see some stuff on his hands from whenever he got electrocuted, at least. Because look, I've seen people electrocuted. I've seen one person electrocuted in front of my face. It happened. They touched a fence and it tore him up. it looked exactly like that. And I've been burnt in kitchens, and I had burn marks across my knuckles here. And guess what? It was always shiny. I've been burned a lot in my life. I've worked in a lot of restaurants, okay? So I know exactly what all of that looks like. Brian Harpole, Dan Flood, all these people, Frank Turek, Candace Owens, all these people are lying. They're lying. And I feel like she's going down this other rabbit hole, and it's not going to lead to anywhere. It's not going to lead to anywhere. I think she's playing her role to a T. But I have to give it to her. I have to give it to her, y'all. She is a good actress. She's fantastic at this. She is a natural at this. And like I said earlier, I'm going to go ahead and say it. There's 13 of you in here. I'm going to go ahead and say it. I 100% believe. Well, now there's 8. Everybody keeps jumping off, on, off. Okay. There has been certain things that she's cleared to talk about and certain things that she's not. I believe that her and Erica and TPUSA have an agreement. You heard what John Chris said. They're all friends behind the scenes. Of course they are. That's the way that politics works too. They're all friends behind the scenes. Candace has been cleared to talk about certain things, but there's certain toes that she cannot step on. Certain toes that she's going to refuse to even, there's certain doors that she's not going to open on her show, okay? And I've covered some of those things that she is going to refuse to cover or ask certain questions. And the fact that she's staying with this he was shot narrative just tells me all I need to know about her, okay? Now, let me go back. How the feds seem implicated. Hang on.
August 24th and ended on August 27th. I'm going to show you this now on the timelines that you can see that. So then we have the very next day on the 25th, we have this very important character who decides to fly over to Colorado Springs. And then that important character flies into Los
Well, hey, look here. At least look, let me show you. At least she has an actual timeline that she set up here. Let's read it. Okay, August 5th to the 6th. Hampton's Retreat and Intervention Influencers Trip sponsored by Bill Ackman. BB calls Charlie and offers to take Turning Point to the next level in exchange for what invites Charlie to Israel. Charlie declines. August 17th, BTT Paris to Omaha. Okay, that's the plane at 10:49 a.m. lands in Lincoln at noon. August 23rd, BTT flies to Omaha to Wilmington on August 23rd and stays one night. August 21st, Charlie was speaking at Alex McFarland's speaker series with Charlie Kirk in North Myrtle Beach. August 24th, another flight but to Wilmington, Delaware, back to Cairo. And then we've got August 24th, McCoy puts his see, that was weird. That was weird.
Vegas, presumably
Rob McCoy put his second house up for sale. Didn't he put his first? Didn't she say he put his first house up for sale? The day after, when it's September 11th, that he actually put his house up for sale. We'll have to confirm that information, but I'm pretty sure that's what she said, that he put his house up for sale the day after it happened. Pretty sure that was Rob McCoy. Operation Valhalla Strike begins, and look, no, Cash is not fooling anybody. Operation Valhalla Strike was going on August 24th to the 27th. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me with this? And then he turns around and says that he'll see Charlie in Valhalla. Does anybody believe that this man is actually gone from this world? I want to know. Tell me. You can survive an electrocution. My live stream, I cover, if you guys want to go watch it, I cover exactly how this could have been done. How this could have been faked in terms of what kind of technology they could have used in combination with Charlie getting electrocuted, okay? Go watch the live stream I did the other day. Because, and I've got timestamps, you can check it out. Everybody that's in the chat right now, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate your support. Look, I'm brand new to YouTube. I'm gonna get the hang of this. I really appreciate you for being here. It's getting late, and I'm starting to slur because I'm so tired, and I apologize. I'm getting tongue-tied. But I'm a based Southern mama. That's it. I'm a Christian. That's all you need to know. I'm tired of modernity. I'm tired of modern women. I'm tired of politicians and influencers lying to us. And I'm here to expose all of that. I'm here to cover all of that, okay? I'm just done with all of it. And I'm ready to bust out onto the YouTube scene. And I'm really hoping that you guys will stay with me, okay? Because I've got so many things that I want to cover. so many people that I want to talk about, so many events that I want to talk about. And there's some crazy stuff going on, you know, in the marriage and dating sphere that I'm going to cover. And these new age therapists, these TikTok life coaches are completely insane. So it's time that people expose those people as well. I'll get better at editing. I'll get better at my delivery. I promise. That's my promise to you, is that I'm going to get better at all this. Okay. You guys, Deidre, Brian, all of you guys, Bruce, or whoever, what was his name now? Brian's already left. You guys, you have a great night. I'm going to get out of here. I can't do it anymore. I got to go to bed. It's almost 10 o'clock, and I'm going to just keep talking and wake my husband up. He's done, went to bed. So I'll see you guys later. Maybe I'll be able to jump back on this weekend. I love you. Stay safe. Stay prayed up, and I'll see you next